man, Jon Hudson with the Unbiased UFO Report, and Space Now Radio's After Hours comes on in. Give us all the latest news on what is happening with UFOs in the world. And Jon, it's always a pleasure to have you here. How you doing, buddy?
Actually, Dave, I'm going to leave. I'm going to go hang out with my daughter after that story. I just, I don't know if I can do the news.
Right.
that was harsh, man. I actually missed the beginning, but I go back and listen to that.
My daughter turned 23 today.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. I called her up. I said, what do you want Dad to get you? And she's like, I don't know, Dad. I don't know.
Yeah, what do you want? I mean, like, God, like, what do you ask your... Yeah, anyway.
I figured 23. I got her a manicure and a pedicure. Sent her some money. Told her to go book herself for a nice couple of hours at the spa. Get a manicure and pedicure on Dad. And then with the money left over, go for a nice dinner and drink.
Perfect.
And go enjoy yourself.
Dude, that was, I mean, keep in mind we're two guys making these determinations, but my personal opinion is that was an excellent solution.
Well, it works, and that's what works for me. And, my baby girl
23, wow, man.
12:59 this afternoon turned 23. And it's just like yesterday. I remember every moment of that day, man. Every moment of that day. Best day of my life. Next to my son being born.
Yes.
Best day of my life.
Yes.
All right. Happy birthday, little girl.
Yes. Happy birthday.
Not so little. Not so little. Today, her hair is like half purple, half green. So
is it really?
Yeah,
that's
it's really
cool. Awesome.
Yeah, it's really
that is cool. That is really cool.
I love it. I love it.
I'm kind of jealous.
All right. UFO report, man. We're going straight into Luis Elizondo.
Yeah. And what's funny is that, when I was gathering all these stories, like some of this actually came from Bryce Zeibel's portion of his interview with George Knapp, which was also very good. And it was kind of funny because what I found was that even the stuff I was pulling from Bryce's interview was still all about Elizondo. So it essentially just ended up being a big Elizondo show as far as the notes were concerned. Hi, Maui, yes. But some very, very interesting things are breaking. So essentially, the first one is that on the Sunday, January 6th, Coast to Coast AM show with George Knapp, when Luis Elizondo interviewed him, he actually, and I don't have the exact quote right here, I apologize for Maui, but basically what he said was something to the lines of, and I've had two different people both agree that this is what he was alluding to, that we have essentially attempted to take out a UFO, that we've attempted to, in one of these areas where we have repeated incursions and repeated contact, that and there's no indication as to whether we've succeeded. Elizondo was specifically asked if we have succeeded. He said no. He did say that he is aware of times where we failed, and essentially, okay, look, I mean, anytime you're talking about recovery, you have to assume that some recoveries are not always going to be done off the ground, that you could end up baiting a target, and somehow we certainly do that in nature. However, I think, at least for me anyway, this is the first time I've had it called out so plainly that this organization has unilaterally decided to go out and go, here, kitty to the aliens, and didn't consult us first.
I could just imagine what they tried to use to bring down UFOs. I mean, because let's face it, a Phoenix missile or a Sidewinder is just not going to do it.
Oh, I guarantee you, Dave, that none of the attempts made involved physical objects. It was all field related. It was all just fields, my friend. But yeah, no, and that's the problem is it like, I mean, okay, so let's go on the assumption that some of that, what is being seen are individuals from other dimensions or other places in the universe. And let's assume that the variation in craft that we see are an indication of the sources of those craft. There really is craft coming from that many different places. If that's true, and I don't know if it is or not, but I'm just saying if that's true, then that would indicate that every single one of those vehicles would have a completely different set of vulnerabilities. You might have two that are vulnerable to electromagnetic attacks and the rest of them aren't. Right? It might be that one species was sensible to electromagnetic attack until they lost two ships at that dumb planet Earth, and now they shield from it, right? I mean, who knows, right? I mean, we have no idea how this plays out. But to me, it's very just kind of shocking that, I don't know, to me, like if anyone's going to, go up to an alien and go, here, kitty, kitty, I don't know. It just seems like, more people should be voting on that one.
It makes me wonder what the U.S. military and all of these companies like Lockheed have learned over the years from these craft. Because if they are thinking of building technology to potentially shoot one of these down, John, this is something where that technology is going to be so highly advanced, like things we've never seen before. Some sort of
Dave, that one of the
something like that.
I totally agree, and sorry for interrupting. What I was going to say is that one of the most important aspects of the entire defense apparatus of the United States is ELINT. It is the ability to gather electronic surveillance from other craft to determine how they function. It's something we are very good at, and I guarantee you that as much as can be gleaned, I sure has. Elizondo has alluded in several conversations to some very, at one point he basically says that there is a very simple and cheap way to actually locate them in the atmosphere that we will all be shocked when we discover what it is. I mean, that's a hell of a thing to say, right? I mean, I'm kind of paraphrasing him, but.
We got about 90 seconds here before we have to move on here and take a break at the bottom of the hour. We have Jon Hudson here with the Unbiased UFO Report. John, in regards to Elizondo's former manager, this name came out.
Yes, and I debated back and forth as to whether I wanted to say the name or not, and I think in light of how Lou Elizondo reacted to George Knapp, I'm not going to, and you're welcome to, and everyone, please, I encourage you to go listen to the actual interview where you will hear it. It's a good interview, but yeah,
give it to us.
No, I actually I didn't look up what the name is. I actually don't know what it is because the way Elizondo reacted to it.
Hold on, why would you put it into the report then?
Well, because it's an important data point, but I want to let people discover it for themselves, and to me, like outing that individual, if George Knapp wants to do that, that's his business. But you should have seen how Elizondo reacted to it when Knapp dropped his name. I mean, his response was, "My mom told me that I shouldn't say anything about people unless it's something nice, so I'm not going to say anything."
Well, that's fine and
like
dandy,
that's literally like how he responded, right? Like,
if the name is out, dude, that's our job.
Okay. I apologize. And to me, like I come from a military family. I always defer to that, and I was just trying to respect Elizondo's candor and his position, and leave it to Knapp to report it. And so I do apologize. Next time I'll get the name. But I actually intentionally didn't get the name because I didn't want to slip it out.
During the break, we got the name of the spy. Yes, of Luis Elizondo's boss, a gentleman named Gary Reed, who allegedly still works at the Pentagon, who allegedly was potentially Lou Elizondo's boss.
Yes, and it should be said that it is George Knapp that, or at least George Knapp and his team, that did the footwork to discover who this gentleman was. And it was him basically saying to Elizondo, I know you won't say his name, but I believe I found him. Is this the gentleman? And then Elizondo responding how he did, that essentially the whole thing came out. So it's an interesting exchange to listen to.
Wow. All right, let's move on, Jon. We got a lot more topics to announce, but we're sticking with Lou Elizondo because he literally has been silent over the last couple of months here.
Yes.
He has a new documentary that he's working on. What's this
so
all?
This came out. This one really caught me off guard. I mean, I look, I take that back. I know of several different projects that Elizondo has been tied to at different levels at different times over the last couple of years. So it's not to say that he doesn't ever get involved in it. I don't mean to say that whatsoever. But the way he phrased it to me, anyway, indicated some ownership. The way he phrased it to me indicated that he felt, at least, that he had some ownership over this one. That this one was that he was putting some of himself into this one, and you could tell that there was a lot of pride in this one. And he was very kind of almost boastful about this one, indicating that he believed that, at least to date, this will be the most complete and the most thorough documentary on the topic that seen to date. I would argue that he showed more passion about the documentary than he did his book.
Do you think he feels that he may have some makeup time to do after, what was considered a flop and Unidentified?
No, I don't think, no, I really don't think Elizondo thinks that way. I don't think he thinks in those terms. I think he looks in terms of the best outcome that he can possibly achieve in each situation. And if he achieved the best situation he could, then that's all he could do, and he moves on. I don't know. I don't know. Oh man, yeah, I don't know, but I was very surprised over his passion for this documentary, and unfortunately, he never said when he was coming out, but he seemed to indicate that there was. And the one thing I'm confused about, and what we're going to get into next, is that he is now talking about some specialized information coming out in his book, which I'm a little surprised by, and I expected his publisher to say that. I didn't expect him to say that. And he kind of alludes to that with this documentary as well. And so then it becomes this question of, okay, are we looking at a joint a press package sort of situation where they're doing a documentary that's going to come out along with, the book, or are these completely two separate projects that just both happen to obviously deal with the same topic, and so they're going to have a lot of kind of crosstalk from a Venn diagram point of view? That wasn't clear to me, unfortunately. But the one thing he did say that I thought was interesting to your earlier point of how he's been kind of out of pocket for the last couple of weeks. It's because the silly man is writing the book himself by hand, and it takes time and it's hard. And so that's what he's doing, and that's essentially why he hasn't been around. Is he's working very, very hard on his book right now. So he's actively writing it as we speak. And he definitely alluded to the fact that he understands that it's a dance he has to do, where he is going to present and ask for this much information, knowing that that some percentage is going to be taken out, and therefore that 20% left over that he really cares about is what actually gets left in the book. Like he kind of alluded to the fact that that was the kind of process that he was going to be able to finagle, and that surprised me. I mean, it really did. I mean, like I said, I expect the publisher to kind of to sell the book in that fashion. But I didn't expect Elizondo to do it himself, and he really did. And you could tell like I think there was two really interesting things that came out. One is that he is taking the book very personally, and two is that and once again, maybe I'm reading too much into his tone, but the way I read his tone is that he's not sure what it's going to be like in the end either yet. Like he's still not sure what it's going to look like, which is kind of cool. Like I like that he's still he's still unsure of what the final product's going to be at while writing it. I think that's a good place to be for a writer. So you know, I came out of the whole thing far more interested in that book than I've ever been to this point.
I wonder in his book if he's going to come out as an experiencer. I think that is the biggest note that we can take from this. Because I do believe he's an experiencer. I have no proof on that.
But Dave, let me ask you a question, man. Like seriously, do you really think, like I know it's hard, like from the point of view of experiencers not feeling represented and not having good representation and so forth, but if you can remove your own personal desire to have that kind of representation, do you really think it's I don't know. I don't know if this is a good thing or not. I don't know.
Well, I mean, we're going to have to see. I mean, he may come out as one.
Yeah,
look, tell-all autobiographies usually give you some information where you're like, whoa, I never expected that.
Correct.
There is always something out there.
But we've already seen with the Skinwalker book that when Elizondo's remote viewing escapades came out, that people started throwing mud and started using them to strip away his credibility. And if he read a lot into that, then I don't know. I mean, like, here's the thing. If Elizondo himself personally wants to come out about his experience, and I personally do believe he has had some experiences himself. I agree with you. If he wants to come out and talk, Mr. Elizondo, I support you wholeheartedly, but I don't know if it's actually going to help him. Like, I don't know if it's actually going to help his credibility. My concern is that it's going to hurt him.
But whose credibility is it going to hurt? The 14 people on UFO Twitter that absolutely despise him? You know, I mean,
I worry that it's going to hurt his credibility with normal people.
I don't think so. I think there's a better chance of, and let me explain. I think there is a better chance of him gaining more respect from coming out. Unbiased, I'm just going from an overall picture here, than it would be if the government came out and said, we got aliens. I think that is the progression and the start of phase 3. As we know, there are phases to this. We've been told that all along. Phase 1 was acknowledgement. Phase 2 was admittance that UAP are real and not Russia or China. Phase 3 is contact. And if you have Elizondo come out saying that he's had contact, it's a massive story.
It is a massive story, but when you consider how many non-experiencers and non-educated in this topic people there are in the world that need to start developing some cognizance of this issue and some trust in the people that are giving the message, my concern would be that essentially, I mean, we even saw this with Jimmy Carter, right? To me, I don't know. I really look forward to the day this isn't so. But to me, we still live in a time where sharing your personal experiences is a great thing to do if you personally value it and you personally get something out of it. But from the outside world, it's not going to play out in your favor.
Well, you know that, and I know that, John. All right. but it may be the chance that he's willing to take. And maybe his advisors have told him that he is going to be the guy for ET contact.
And if that's the case, that's awesome. That is awesome. I would love to see that. I would love to see that.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
that's
no,
all
I
I'm
agree.
saying.
Yeah, no, I agree. And actually, and Dave, you just touched on something that I wanted to touch on, and that is that the other elephant in the room is that we can't assume that Elizondo is doing anything now on his own, right? Danny Sheehan has at least a advisory nod or voice in any significant public actions that Elizondo takes is my assumption, right? And so I wouldn't be at all surprised if we don't see Danny Sheehan nudging Lou to go further out on the ledge than perhaps he was planning on, and then being able to say to him, "And I can provide you cover for that." Like, to me, those two of them together could get into a lot of trouble together in a good way.
Well, I think there's a lot more security there with Daniel Sheehan. I really do.
Yeah, for sure. But it's still, so much of it is black box to us, right? And that's the hard part. That's the really, really challenging part.
Absolutely, John. And is there any update on when his book may be coming out?
No, actually, he didn't allude to that. I think he said that he hoped it could be the end of this year. But he's writing it now, and so I think it's I mean, honestly, thinking back, I don't think he indicated I was listening for it. I don't think he did. I might be wrong, but I think he did make some kind of generalization about the fact that he hoped to have it ready for Christmas, sort of a thing.
Well, that is going to be one book I know we all will have to get. We all will have to get that.
Yeah, I think we'll have to turn it to a screenplay and we'll act it out in the theater stage. Ooh, interpretive dance. That'd be awesome.
All right, John, it's always a pleasure to have you on here.
Thank you all for listening and hanging out. Appreciate it.